When you combine protein and caffeine, you don't get the rapid cortisol spike, which you initially get, which causes like the jitters. Instead, you get a longer, slower release of the caffeine, and then it tapers off over a longer period of time. So then you don't get the crash later. So I started making this drink for Lisa in my kitchen, and she started drinking it and felt great. Didn't have any of the side effects. She stayed full. It solved my problem of trying to get more protein in instead of like drinking coffee and making protein shakes all the time.
Hi, welcome back to Recipe to Revenue. I am so excited to be here today with the co-founder and CEO of Projo, Charbel Mawad. He is based out in the Bay Area of California, where he's in the fitness space, is where you got your start. He'll tell us a little bit about that, but has been developing this protein coffee brand for the last couple of years. And really excited for him to share the background story, why another coffee brand. There's something really unique about Projo that he's going to share with us. So welcome, Charbel. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, Leah. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Let's kind of start at the beginning and just give us a quick introduction about who you are and how you got into this product.
My name is Charbel Mawad. I have a background myself in fitness and nutrition, taking it back all the way to, my preteen years. I actually developed an eating disorder. I went from being, very overweight to severely underweight and malnourished. Wasn't eating well, didn't have the proper guidance, just really didn't understand how to go about like managing my weight and nutrition and fitness and all that. So I kind of had to learn that on my own. And, honestly, like once I was introduced to the right people in the right community, I learned that like eating a high protein diet, training regularly, that essentially like it saved my life in a way. I was, regularly being hospitalized when I was malnourished. I had a really weak immune system. And then, once I was introduced to like clean food, natural foods, and specifically high protein foods, I started feeling a lot healthier. And that kind of ignited my passion for learning more about like fitness and nutrition. And I got really into working out. And I eventually went on to competing in natural bodybuilding. And I got my professional pro card in men's physique in 2016 in natural bodybuilding.
Amazing. I mean, that's just an incredible story of, from a teen that you were, going through all that, but it just speaks to just having the right people around you to help guide you to the right place, and how amazing that you then found a whole career out of it, not just got healthy, but that's fantastic.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So then you kind of got your start in the fitness and nutrition from a career perspective. Tell us a little bit about that part.
Yeah, I was, training very seriously, counting my macros, doing all that for many years, really, until I won my pro card in 2017. And then I stopped competing. I was still working out, still very serious about it, but I kind of was trying to then explore what my future would look like, what my career would look like. At the time, I was about 20 old. So just almost getting out of college. And then I was friends at the time with my now fiance and co-founder, Lisa. And we were just, working out at the gym. And I, at the time, was drinking tons of coffee, as I have been for a very long time. And I was, lugging around my protein shakes. And then I was talking to Lisa about just coffee in general. And I found out she wasn't drinking coffee anymore because she would try it and she just couldn't tolerate it. It would make her jittery. It would make her anxious. She would then crash later. And, I didn't want her to have this experience with coffee. So coffee is deeply rooted in my culture. I know the amazing benefits of it. So I wanted to really find a way for her to be able to tolerate and enjoy coffee and not suffer from it. So I did my research, and then I found out when you combine protein and caffeine, you don't get the rapid cortisol spike, which you initially get, which causes like the jitters. Instead, you get like a longer, slower release of the caffeine, and then it tapers off over a longer period of time. So then you don't get the crash later. So I started making this drink for Lisa in my kitchen, and she started drinking it and felt great. Didn't have any of the side effects. She stayed full. It solved my problem of trying to get more protein in instead of like drinking coffee and making protein shakes all the time. So it really consolidated a lot of things in one, and it gave Lisa like the ability to now enjoy coffee and benefit from it.
Yeah, I love that, and I love a food and beverage romance story as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean with the jittery aspect of it. Like, I love coffee, but I've definitely gone through periods of my life where I'm like, oh, I have to stop drinking this for a while. Like, it's just the
Yeah.
jitteriness, like, it's just too much. I was down in Key West last year, and we went to this great Cuban coffee place,
Oh,
and the coffee was delicious, but it was the worst jittery experience that I think
oh
I've
no.
ever had. I was like, oh my God,
Wow.
I can't do this. So it's great to hear of, alternate products out there because I'm like, I do enjoy, there's a ritual with coffee that
Yes.
people, really they don't want to give up, even if there are side effects of it. So, were you're just tinkering in your kitchen? Is that how really, all this kind of evolved until you feel you got it right?
Yeah, essentially that. I had my protein powders there, I was,
Hmm.
drinking cold brew at the time, and then
Yeah.
I just literally started combining them in a blender, and
Hmm.
then I took that a step further, trying to, perfect the taste of it, the texture, finding the
Yeah.
right proteins, and then eventually, like, the word got out to, like, our friends and peer group, at the gym
Hmm.
and at work, and then they wanted to try this drink now that Lisa was raving about and that I was making and I loved. So our first customers were really just like our friends, family, and
Yeah.
peers. We didn't have an intention to like start selling it from day one. We just
Hmm.
wanted people to like, enjoy this drink that we are making, and they were seeking
Hmm.
out for it. Like they wanted it. They kept coming back for it. They were drinking it regularly. They felt great. They weren't
Yeah.
having any of these side effects, like similar to what Lisa was dealing with, which I found out was what a lot of people were dealing with too, especially like women
Hmm. Yeah.
with the cortisol problem. So then, I kind of thought, well, we can maybe turn this into a business, start selling it to
Hmm.
more people. And then that's when, we kind of started thinking more of it as a business, got like a commercial
Hmm.
kitchen, and started doing like pop-up tables at gyms and like in the
Hmm.
local South Bay area here. This was at the time, it was in 2019.
Yeah. Okay. When you started bringing it around to friends and family and you were getting all this positive feedback, did you go back and alter the recipe at all from any feedback that you received from them?
Yes, definitely. So it took a few months to really get the right formula.
Hmm.
I wanted to know, did it have the right coffee flavor? Did it have enough coffee
Hmm.
flavor? Was it like too thick? Was it too runny? Like how was the sweetness level and all that? So it definitely took like a lot of iterations to initially like nail the flavor and the product. So
Yeah.
yeah, their feedback definitely like helped make the product what it was at the time, and then eventually just gathering feedback from customers is how we got to where we are today. Yeah.
And what flavors did you launch with initially?
There was a mocha and a vanilla latte,
Yeah.
and
So those are the
there
two I
was just
have. I'll share on camera here. We have
there we go.
mocha in the brown can, and the one I'm drinking this morning, which is super smooth flavor, is the vanilla latte.
Yeah. The first versions of the product were actually in like a glass jar.
Oh,
So we
really?
were yes, yeah, it was, unlike the can, which is shelf stable,
Hmm.
the initial product had like a week shelf life. It was perishable. We were just like
Yeah.
making it in a blender and putting it in like glass jars
Yeah.
and stickering a label around it and just lugging them around in a cooler.
Yeah.
Just super scrappy.
But it's you started getting the word out. There's a lot of valuable lessons in there. A little laborious, a little heavy to lug around, but you're starting
Yeah.
to build your base there.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
okay, so you went and you found a commercial kitchen, so you were able to move out
Mhm.
of your home and start to expand beyond there. And was that process from kind of starting the process of scaling up?
Uh, yeah, definitely there's a lot of lessons there to be learned, like, in terms of, how much ingredients we need to store, and then just,
Hmm.
like, how much time it's taking to make the product, and, like, this was, like, a late night, after my day job at the bank
Right.
type of thing at the time. So, we're spending a lot of hours at night, like, almost every single night making the product in the commercial
Hmm.
kitchen. But we had a lot more room obviously to store stuff and make it. And then, after my day job, I would then go and, set up a demo table or a, sample table at like
Hmm.
a local gym. And then
Yeah.
eventually other gyms started reaching out. And then we got into grocery stores, and that's kind of how things started to build up.
Yeah. What were some of the first steps that you had to take in that scaling process, like the order of operations for you, like commercial kitchen, packaging, and then the business relations of dealing with the gyms and grocery stores?
Yeah, definitely like not running out of product, because very
Mhm,
early on, like I was ordering such a small amount and like was, didn't have like the right ordering process and the ordering
mhm,
systems for ingredients and materials. And then just like, I guess, prioritizing the time to do the demo table and make the product. And then also, we kind of set up like our own delivery system at the time, like on our website. When we
mm,
did end up getting a website, it took a few months to kind of get that started. So like,
yeah,
trying to like get everything in order so where we have like a solid like foundation where consumers locally can like buy our product because that's the only like
mhm,
we're only available locally at the time, and then
mhm,
just like ensuring that we have enough supply and materials, and that we're making enough product as we were getting more and more orders in like on a weekly basis.
yeah, yeah, it's such a balance between all of those things plus your time still working, in a day
Oh
job
yeah.
to get it all done. So how was that for you in terms of, was it the passion and power of like there's momentum building here getting you through it, or we were like this is a lot?
It was both. It was a
Mhm,
lot for sure, like more work than I've ever done with anything really in my
mhm,
life. But just like the passion is really what fueled me because I was had this product that I knew people really enjoyed and benefited from. It was
yeah,
something that, I had made for Lisa. It was like deeply rooted in our connection. And it was just something there's a good feeling about creating of something, whether,
mhm,
especially like a physical, tangible thing that
sure,
people
yeah,
can touch and taste and enjoy. Like if you ever like have this recipe that you make like cookies or banana bread and you like
mhm,
nailed it and you want everyone to try it and they just love it. It's like a really good feeling. And then like people keep coming back and they're like now paying you their hard-earned money for it. And it's just like
mhm,
you have like an obligation and responsibility now to like serve them. And you're just
right.
kind of fueled by just that like that whole overall feeling of it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're totally right in terms of having something tangible,
Mm,
is different than in the service industry. You're like, oh, I'm consulting or I'm giving advice, which is
yeah.
rewarding it in a different way. But
Mhm.
when you're holding something in your hand and it's like, no, I created it. I
Yeah.
produced it.
Mhm.
I helped make the logo. I decided on packaging and yeah, and here it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, very
Exactly.
rewarding. I think that's why, partially people just love the food and beverage industry and we see
Mhm.
so many brands, coming to market.
Exactly.
So I want to
Totally.
talk a little bit about, as you were moving from the glass bottle to the cans, some of the decisions that you were making in that point in time. How
Yeah.
did you go about finding somebody to do the manufacturing part of it for you? And just tell us how that process went.
Yeah, so the timeline from what the product started to what it is today, I'll run you through it briefly. So we started
Yeah.
as the glass jar with like the
Hmm.
1 week shelf life,
Yeah.
and then we pivoted then to like plastic bottles at the time,
Mm.
because they're a lot lighter, they weren't breaking as much, they're
Sure.
easier to kind of take with you places and all that. And then we had done a little rebrand and then changed the formula a little bit to extend the shelf life out like an extra week or so.
Hmm.
So, it went from like a week shelf life to like around a 2 to 3 week shelf life. And then we were still experimenting with like different proteins and ingredients at the time. So, like, we had started initially with like casein protein, and then we switched to like an egg white protein. And then
Hmm.
that was the second iteration of the product was like the egg white protein, a plastic bottle drink. And that allowed
Hmm.
us like a little bit more leeway to kind of like, get into more locations in the Bay Area still, but like we're not so
Hmm.
confined by like such an insanely short shelf life. So give
Sure.
us a little bit of a breather. And
Yeah.
then we learned also a lot in that iteration from like what consumers want in terms of like the taste and like just the product itself, the branding, what speaks to them. And we were
Hmm.
still learning a lot.
Yeah.
So that was the second version of the drink. And then we kind of came to this point where we were just selling so much of the product locally. We couldn't like keep it on the shelves at like these
Hmm.
gyms and at the grocery stores. And we were like at farmers markets at the time. And like
Hmm.
we had doing like a lot of pop-ups, but like given the short shelf life and that it was perishable, and the very limited resources, because at the time we were still bootstrapping this completely,
Uh-huh.
we had to like figure out a way to pivot while we can figure out a way to work on like a shelf stable, ready to drink product. So we transitioned to powder mixes. So an instant packet mix
Mhm.
that we actually still have on the market today is part of our product line, and that product line has evolved too. But
Mhm.
we heard from our consumers that they wanted to be able to take the product with them while they're on the go and when they're traveling and all that.
Yep.
And we figured out the easiest way to do that and the quickest way to do that was to dehydrate the product and get it into
Mhm.
like a shelf stable powder format.
Yeah.
And we launched that product. And then at the time we had stopped doing the ready to drink, launched the powder mix, got that distributed on,
Mhm.
more until like we
Mhm.
were able to ship it and get it out into areas beyond just the local Bay Area. And then we were working on the formulation for the shelf stable can.
Mhm.
And that took a very long time. It
Yeah.
took a very long time because the product itself, to make it shelf stable and keep a clean label, have the right taste, the right texture, and
Mhm.
everything that we wanted from what the product was meant to be, is an insanely difficult challenge. It takes a very
Yeah.
long time to formulate it. It takes a while to find the right co-manufacturers to be able
Yeah.
to like make the product, and then you have to like find the right co-packers that you can build a good relationship with and that like check all the boxes that you're looking for, because that side of the business is like so important,
Mhm.
the co-packing and the production side of the business
Sure.
and who your partners are there. So we knew we didn't want to rush it.
Mhm.
We knew that we needed to perfect the product and the formula,
Yeah.
and we couldn't take a shortcut and rush it. So that's kind of how the product evolved over the past few years to last August, where we then debuted the ready to drink shelf stable cans.
Mhm. Amazing. So I have so many questions for you. So when you say it took a long time to get the ready to drink product ready, how long was that process for you? Like months, a year,
No,
longer?
it took like, in terms of like, we were kind of like building a plane while flying it, right?
Yeah.
So when we were getting the packets out into the market, that was
Uh-huh.
around like end of 2022, 2023. They started getting
Okay.
more into the market like on a
Yeah.
nationwide basis. And then in
Mhm.
the meantime, we were like still trying to figure out how we want to create this can. I was doing a lot of the experimenting on my own, doing a lot of the research. And then for a while, I was like trying to do that on my own,
Yeah.
just like I had done initially. But I, found out, well, this is kind of out of my hands because
Mhm.
this is like such a difficult thing to create. It's literally just like a huge chemistry project.
Yeah.
And, we then found, a partner that helped us with the formulation, and we
Mhm.
worked on it like straight for a year and a half, like
Okay.
nonstop with that partner.
Yeah.
So on top of that time and the time that me and like internally we were trying to
Mhm.
do it ourselves, it took over 2 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, definitely over 2 years. And then we finally were able to, find a co-packer to make the product for us. Lisa had designed the new packaging and the branding for
Mhm.
it. And then we created this product and debuted it in August of last year at the
Mhm.
Newtopia Now trade show in Denver.
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations for making it to that. That's a big
Thank
step,
you.
big
I
milestone.
appreciate it.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask a question, kind of going back to some. Obviously, we made the point, that you're bootstrapping this, and I think a lot of newer brands are trying to figure out how to finance their venture.
Yeah.
So, were you able to, were you putting in just your own money to get it off the ground, or with the sales that you're getting at that point in time, able to reinvest it to launch the new products in the line?
Yeah, both, both.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Lisa and I both are still actually school teachers.
Hmm.
So we're
Nice.
both working right now, funding the
Yeah.
business. And we've been funding it ourselves and through the sales of the product for this whole time. And
Hmm.
then now we're at a point where like we are raising a round of funding to support like
Excellent.
our launches this year and our scale and our growth. And it's really come time for that. But
Sure.
yeah, we're still working and still been financing the business ourselves.
Yeah, and that in and of itself is just so impressive to be able to do that
Thank
with
you.
different SKUs in your line between the ready to drink and the
Yeah,
powdered mix. So
thank
well
you.
done on that part.
Yeah. I will say this though, like, I tell people this all the time, like if they're starting a business
Hmm.
and they don't have like hundreds of thousands of dollars in
Hmm.
savings in the bank and just like a nice comfort, a place of comfort to where they can still
Yeah.
live their personal life and, be okay with that life. And whatever that may look like, it's different for everybody, but there's no harm in like still working and building a business. I just
Mhm.
always recommend trying to find a job that's not so like stressful and that takes like so much time and energy.
Yeah.
Like for example, like the jobs that we've had while building it, like, first like working at a bank and then being a
Mhm.
substitute teacher and then like being
Mhm.
like a high school teacher. Thankfully, like our schedules are flexible. Like we enjoy what we do and we're not like
Mhm.
burning out and then going and working on
Yeah.
Projo or my business. So
Right.
like I've heard for a lot of people that have like corporate jobs or whatever, it's like it's very like stressful. It takes a lot of time and energy. And like the last thing they want to do at the end of like a long day is try to run and operate a business. And it really just
Right.
sucks all of like their energy out. So
Yeah.
I recommend finding, a job or being in a mental capacity or mental space where you're still, able to give energy and time to your business, but also to your
Mhm.
personal life and to your family and take care of
Yeah.
your health because you don't want to sacrifice certain things. It's gonna catch up to you. So really try to find a
Yeah.
well balanced like formula for everything. But it is
Yes. Good
possible. You
advice.
can work and build a business. And there will
Mhm.
be a time where you transition over and be prepared for that, but you can do
Mhm.
both at the same time.
Yeah. 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 You guys are proof of it. So,
Yeah.
and to be able to get to the point of, debuting at a conference as big as Newtopia too. So, leading up to it, what made you feel like this was the year to do it?
Well, we were really finalizing, we were coming to this point where the can formula was being finalized and we had this
Mhm.
opportunity to be a part of like a pitch competition at the event. Or I mean, it's
Mhm.
not a pitch competition. It was a competition. It was like called Best on the Block. It was
Mhm.
like where 6 brands were selected by the Angel Group.
Yeah.
And we were one of the 6 brands to showcase our product and have fans come and vote for like the
Oh,
best
excellent.
new product
Yeah.
of the show. We kind of had to really rush the end part of it to like make sure the product was like ready in time. So we had to overnight and expedite like ingredients and materials and like
Yeah.
really just like kind of rush things at the end because we found this out kind of like very close to the show, I guess.
Mhm.
So we thought this is a really big opportunity because we're not only showcasing the product, we have like a nice platform for it to kind of like gain more visibility and attention.
Sure.
So we debuted the product at Newtopia. We had a booth there, and then we also were part of this competition with the other 6 brands, and then we ended up winning that competition. So the fans voted us as like the best new product
Congrats.
at the show. Thank you. And then that created like a lot of buzz during and after the
Mhm.
show. And then, that was really like for the can, like the big initial breakthrough of like
Mhm.
giving it the attention that it deserved and like getting
Mhm.
the right eyes on it as we started getting it into like stores. So that Newtopia show in Denver was huge.
Yeah.
Then we got it into retailers just here, select retailers in the
Mhm.
Bay Area because we had done like a pilot run. So we wanted to see how it
Mhm.
would perform like out in the wild. So we got it into like grocery stores and gyms, and immediately it was like
Mhm.
selling like exceptionally well. Like the weekly
Yeah.
velocities was outselling other like ready to drink coffee competitors in the
Yeah.
grocery stores, like in the ready to drink coffee set. And then at gyms, it was just crushing it.
What was
And
that feeling like for you guys when you got those reports back?
it kind of took me back to like when we were first making the ready to drink because we hadn't had the ready to drink in a while at the time, and it was just like
Mhm.
a nostalgic feeling, but it was like such an incredible feeling because like we'd put so much time and effort into this
Yeah.
product and like it was getting like immediately the traction that we were like wanting, hoping for. And just seeing that was like it was like the best feeling ever. It was very rewarding for sure.
Mm.
And then in December we were part of the BevNet New Beverage Showdown, and we ended up winning that as well. So winning that BevNet
Fantastic.
New Beverage Showdown was like even more validating. The feedback that we got like for the product and just everything that came out of that event and
Mhm.
winning that was just like massive for us. And I just like had
Yeah.
this like feeling that, and I was telling Lisa, I was like, I know we're finalists, like I know we're semifinalists and whatnot. I was like, we have to win this. Like this has to like we have to win this to make like a big statement, and
Mhm.
we have a lot to prove here. And I know winning this would really like create that momentum that we're needing, and
Yeah.
it sure did. It absolutely did.
Yeah. You saw an immediate bump of interest of retailers? And were you selling online at that point?
At that
To
point, we
your
were just selling on our website. Yeah, we had just had like a small run that we had done, but we sold out of that insanely quickly.
Yeah.
And then the inbound that we were receiving from distributors and retailers and investors just right after winning that was crazy. So like it was phenomenal. Like it was way more than I had expected in terms of like
Mhm.
what that inbound interest and like visibility and like attention that we'd be getting was. But would be. But yeah, winning that a BevNet New Beverage Showdown after, especially like after the Newtopia win, and just like
Mhm.
keeping that momentum going,
Yeah, that's huge.
was huge.
Yeah. So on the retailer side, when you're starting out in the Bay Area there, were you uh, going in yourself to the retail stores and asking if they want to carry it? Are you working with a broker to get into
It
retail?
was just us. It was just
Mhm.
me, and Lisa, and I was, like the main sales guy
Yeah.
going into the stores, coming in with samples, having like my sell sheet and like asking to
Mhm.
talk to like the buyer, and then just kind of going about it that way. That's exactly how we got into like our initial stores here in the Bay Area.
Yeah. What is your recommendations for new brands as they're starting the retail portion of their journey? What to come prepared with?
When you're walking into the store, we'll be prepared with samples of the product, to either pour on the spot or like drop off for the buyer. And then make sure you're asking to speak to the right person. Like you want to talk
Mhm.
to like who the buyer is for, let's say, ready to drink coffee. So
Mhm.
if they're available, also it's good to either digitally or like physically have like a sell sheet or a spec sheet because they're going to want to ask for that.
Mhm.
You're going to want to know your wholesale pricing. You're going to want to know like the suggested retail pricing. You're going to want to also like if you have some data to show like how your product's selling,
Yeah.
that's like super important. If not, you want to like obviously sell them on like the potential and the opportunity. And then really like if you're local, assuming you're going into local stores, most of the time these smaller independent retailers like prefer to work with local people,
Mhm.
local businesses. So like say you're local, try to sell them on that. They love that small business story. Really, like I would say, focus on the story and then make sure like your product is going to do what you say it's going to do. Like if you have like
Right.
the best banana bread in the world or like
Mhm.
best freshly pressed juice, make sure it taste exactly that way. And you're just prepared from the product side of it. And then as well from like the story side of it. And then you have like
Mhm.
your numbers in order because they're going to want to know what they're buying it at. They're going to want to know what their margin is and what they're going to be selling at. And then
Yeah.
just be ready to do some demos to support their store, especially because you're local.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, you're nearby and get in there. And then
Yeah.
as you're expanding beyond the Bay Area, what are you guys looking at now to support that?
So yeah, so it's a huge jump going from local to national. In May, we'll actually be launching nationwide into Target with
Amazing.
our ready to drink cans in over 1,800 Target locations. Our instant packets as well are going to be in over 600 Target locations.
Hmm.
And that's coming in May. So like beyond that, like from now until May, we're activating into other retailers like throughout SoCal, throughout the
Mhm.
Midwest. And then we have like a really good demo team up here, like in the Bay Area, like including myself. We
Mhm.
do our demos up here and we go in and do our merchandising. And in SoCal as well, we have a partner down there to help us with demos. And then, in the Midwest as well. Like, so we have a really solid demo team. We
Yeah.
work really closely with our retail buyers and our distributors to come up with like a good game plan and good strategy for like in-store
Mhm.
promos, shelf space, merchandising, if you want any like side caps or end caps, like you want to be able to have a close relationship with these people because they're the ones that are really going to be like helping you succeed in store because you're
Yeah.
so far away, you can't just be everywhere at once. And we're also like for the Target launch, we're going to be doing like a lot more, creating a lot of new content around that on like TikTok and Instagram, partner with like a
Mhm.
lot of different creators, a lot of athletes, a lot of
Mhm.
influencers that like have, customers that would be, power coffee
Target customers,
drinkers
yeah.
as well that can like be good brand advocates that share similar values as us and what we believe in for a branded product.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a lot different than, a very small local operation, but like I would say the principles of it are like very similar.
Mhm.
You want to focus like on the product itself, ensuring that one, you have like the right product that you're entering into the market and that it's like ready to scale with you, and
Yeah.
that your relationships are like, you develop really close relationships with all of your partners, with
Hmm.
your whole supply chain, all the way down to the retailers and the distributors. Like, they want to all be like your best friends.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you got the notice that you're going to be in Target, you called your co-manufacturer and say, okay, this is our date, got to get ready and
Yeah.
and they were, everybody. So you have to have everybody aligned basically to make sure that
Yes.
you're not missing anything and everything's ready to go. You got all your ingredients in and
Yep.
everything is produced.
Yes. Yeah. We've been working on this for like almost a year now,
Mm-hmm.
just from initial conversation and then to finding out we were getting resetted in their May, reflow, and that was
Yeah.
like late last year. So
You've had
we had a
time.
little bit of time to prepare, but still, like, things move so quickly, and before you know it,
Yeah.
it's going to be May already. So like, yeah, we
Absolutely.
had to like ensure everybody's ready to go. We had done a great job building the supply chain over the years and building these
Mm-hmm.
partnerships and these relationships and like ensuring that we're ready to scale and we're like prepared for if a Target or someone like that comes knocking at the door, we can support
Mm-hmm.
them. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what we were looking for. And thankfully, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, fantastic. So before we kind of get to the end of our episode today, I do want to go back to the product itself, because even though it's taking you, a couple years to get to the product that you have today in development, you kind of landed at a really good point in time with, proteins having a moment. And,
Yes.
so
Yes, huh?
good for you on that one. But so
Yes.
just
Thank
kind of
you.
like talk to us about the ingredients. I'm holding again the vanilla latte, 25 grams of
Yes.
protein. Yeah, talk to us about some of the decisions that you made with the actual ingredients, and there's collagen in it, and so on.
Yeah. So starting with the caffeine source as well is freshly brewed coffee with organic coffee fruit extract. So that combination is what gets the 225 milligrams of caffeine. It's called power coffee for a reason. It's high caffeine and
Yeah,
high protein.
yeah.
So that's like an optimal dose for like, maximum physical and mental performance and output.
Mm-hmm.
That combination, we call it like a dual caffeine system where you get like the instant activation from the coffee itself and then the slow release of the coffee fruit, which helps prolong the effect of the caffeine.
Yeah.
We combine that with our dual phase protein system. So we stack 3 protein sources, 2 milk proteins. One is a
Mm-hmm.
milk protein isolate and then a casein protein for a
Mm-hmm.
fast digesting and then a slow digesting source of protein. And then we added certified grass-fed collagen for like the overall structural support. And then that combination is what gives you the 25 grams of protein total. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be primarily from the milk proteins, and then the
Mm-hmm.
collagen is there to kind of to support it and kind of like complete the
Yeah.
system and round it out. And then in terms of the 3 SKUs, we have our vanilla and our mocha latte. So they are lactose free, by the way. They're
Yeah.
lactose free. We added a lactase enzyme. And
Yeah.
then calorie count is 130 calories for the mocha you're holding and the vanilla.
Yeah.
And then we have a 0 sugar latte as well here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's 110 calories. We use organic cane sugar for the vanilla and the mocha. And then we use Reb M, which is a fermented stevia, which doesn't give any like bitterness or aftertaste. So it's really
Mm-hmm.
smooth, perfect sweetness level.
Yeah.
And they're shelf stable. They're in a 12-ounce can here. And then we just wanted to make sure that it's a super clean label, all natural ingredients, fantastic macros, and that
Yeah.
it tastes exactly like your favorite latte would taste.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, I just like, I'm drinking the vanilla latte. It is so smooth. You don't have any of that bitterness from, that sometimes coffee has.
Yep.
But yeah, it kind of does have that consistency of, not as thick as a smoothie, but still substantial. It's not, like watery, like a straight
Definitely.
coffee drink.
Trying to nail all of that
Yeah.
was the challenge, to make it smooth and not bitter, to
Mhm.
not have it taste like too sweet or have like that artificial
Yeah.
type of flavor or sweetness. So that's where we wanted the cane sugar to kind of round out that sweetness profile with only 4 grams of sugar, which is
Yeah.
not much at all. And it really did the trick. And then the consistency, usually protein enhanced drinks are either too like thick or they're
Mhm.
chalky, they're
Yeah.
slimy, or a lot of the coffees too are very watery and runny. And like a lot of times you're not really getting that coffee flavor come through. So it's
Mhm.
like there's so many things you're trying to check by creating this product. And that's what, took so long to do.
Yeah. And I totally can relate to what you said, towards the beginning of, you have your coffee and you have your protein shake and it's like, well, how much am I going to drink this morning? And like, what's the balance? So I would always try to get like a coffee smoothie so that I could just kind of knock both things out. So
Yes.
it's nice to actually have a product. Sometimes you don't want the thickness of a smoothie all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, really nice product. Well done on the product development, and the can is
Thank
nice
you.
and clean. So as you said, you're going to be in Target in May, and people can buy through your website now if they're not in the Bay Area and find you there.
We're also going to be available for our ready to drink cans in the Fresh Time Market stores in the Midwest. So all 70 of their locations.
Awesome.
And then, if anybody wants to find us on our website, there's a store locator. So you could just, find a store near you. And then you could also purchase on our website as well.
Yeah. And idrinkprojo.com.
Correct.
Okay, my last question for you today. What has been your recipe to revenue?
Yeah, I thought a lot about this. Love the question. So I would say it's pretty simple overall. You want to solve like a real problem. Like as I did with Lisa, her issue was not being able to tolerate coffee. We found out why. It made her jittery, anxious. It would make her crash. And then creating the solution of combining the protein with the caffeine solved that issue. And then obsessing over the product itself and getting as close to the customer as possible. So even to this day, from 2019 till now, I'm doing demo tables, sampling tables. I'm traveling all over the country. I'm listening directly to what the consumer's saying, and what they're saying right now. It's changed over the last 6 years, but I've been ahead of the curve because I've been firsthand hearing their feedback. So we didn't like grow by running like massive digital marketing ads and spending all this money to do so at first. We spent years doing like in-store demos, talking to customers face to face, watching literally how they reacted, hearing them out, refining the product based on like real customer feedback. And then the revenue comes when people don't just try the product. It comes when they come back for the product. So like initially how we were making it for our friends, and they were wanting to give us their money continuously, coming back and paying for it. That's where like a hobby turns into a business, in my opinion. We're able to sell something and get money from it.
Right.
So if you focus on the repeat behavior of the consumer, I think the revenue is just going to follow there.
Yeah, I love that. With having repeat customers is a testament to the product itself, to the brand.
Yes.
And that's really where you begin to scale your business from there, because the word of mouth from that is going to be so much stronger than, a massive digital ad campaign.
100%.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today on Recipe to Revenue. It's been so great to hear your story, and we wish you all the success in the world as you begin this major expansion in May. So
Thank you
thanks
so
for
much.
coming on.
It's been great being here. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much.
Talk soon.